One whenever news breaks during your day.
And number one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It's Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. Can you believe it's the dead center of September?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's still 110 degrees outside. But the good news is we're just 2 weeks away from NBA training camps. We'll talk a little Donovan Mitchell flapping his gums. He did a pretty interesting interview with Sam Amick from The Athletic. Had some interesting comments that we'll play for you coming up here in just a bit. We've also got to get to this recall election in California last night.
Yeah.
I think we all knew how this was going to go, right? I think we all agreed leading up to this, Gavin was probably going to keep his seat.
Yeah.
And he did. And then we find out that a large majority of voters in California, when asked, said that they approved of the way that Gavin Newsom had handled the COVID pandemic.
Yep.
With the lockdowns and restrictions and such.
Yep.
So we got to talk about that coming up as well. But I want to start with Pac-12 power rankings. I just like saying power rankings like that.
Wow.
It makes me feel like a stronger, larger ape-type creature. I think, hey, it is what it is, man. I think the Pac-12 is a pretty interesting story this year in that it would appear that this is a two-team league. And the question now becomes, who is the best team in the Pac-12? Well, by most accounts, it's the Oregon Ducks. And Mario Cristobal's crew went to Columbus, Ohio to wreck people. And that's exactly what they did, knocking off the Bucks at the shoe. That's a hell of a win. But how do you overlook what UCLA, the Bruins, DTR, Chip Kelly, getting the job done in Westwood? How do you overlook what they're doing? I guess for me, Jake, the biggest factor is what you've done on the field. And I know that UCLA beat LSU, but man, it's awfully difficult to find a more impressive venue and a more impressive win than the Ducks going to beat the Bucks.
Yeah, well, I think it's not only what you did this season, but I think it's what you've been doing the last couple seasons. So like I look at Chip Kelly and UCLA, and I think one thing that hurts them in this conversation is the fact that they've been a pretty crappy program, for a couple seasons now, and so I think there's some questions about, I think the main question is, was this LSU or was this UCLA? I mean, who had more to do with UCLA winning that football game? And I think, to me, a lot of me wants to say, no, it was UCLA. They executed, they had a good game plan, and they made plays. But, I would say, I'm like 50-50 on it. What I really want is I want to see what UCLA does, this coming week. That's what I want to see. If we get another impressive win, if they handle their business, all right, then I can feel more comfortable with that. So for me right now, that's why I do put Oregon ahead, because I think Oregon is a program that has been up and down, but for the most part, you know what you're going to get from them. And I think going on the road to the shoe, playing the Buckeyes like that, I mean, honestly, I was shocked that they won that game. And it's amazing to me that, you're able to go on the road and do it without two of your best linebackers on defense. That, to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, man, this is just going to be, maybe not a bloodbath, but this is going to be probably a 10, maybe even a 14-point loss to the Buckeyes. And that didn't happen. And I think, I think Verdell had a lot to do with that. I think their offensive line had a lot to do with that. And honestly, I think it was they just called a great game. That's really, to me, what kind of set them up for success. I never felt like Oregon was lost or, a rudderless ship at sea at the shoe. I just never felt like they were confused.
Bro, they did not have Kayvon Thibodeau. They did not have Justin Flo. Mm-hmm. There's no way they should have gone in there and won. And C.J. Verdell, excuse me, hey, man, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He broke Ohio State's spirit in that game. I think you have to give a lot of credit where credit's due, and I think you're spot on. I think you have to put Oregon number one. From there down, it gets a little more difficult. I don't think there's any question that Chip Kelly and UCLA are number two. I mean, that win over LSU, I don't care if it was UCLA or LSU, UCLA won the game. Was it at home? Yeah. Is it as impressive as Ohio State? No. But they still beat LSU at the Rose Bowl. That's a hell of a win.
Yeah, they were shocked there when that happened.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And I think I could make the argument that UCLA is the best team in the conference. But what we've seen on the field, I think it's very close, and I would lean with the Cristobal's over the Kellys. I am taking Oregon number one. I look at what UCLA has done, and the question that I think has to be asked about the Bruins right now, has Chip Kelly, has he turned the corner? Is he back to Oregon Chip Kelly? And does he finally have the talent he needs to run the system he wants at UCLA? And I know that it takes time to run your program through the funnel and add the talent that you need there. But I think Chip Kelly's finally done that, and I think you're seeing that in the results on the field. LSU's a hell of a win. I don't care where it's played.
Yeah.
You beat LSU, you've won a football game, and I look at the way they did that. That's not something that UCLA would have been capable of in the last 5 years, including Chip's first several years here. I just don't think that he would have been capable because the team wasn't ready to do that. I think that Zach Charbonnet has absolutely given them a running game. I don't know, how he gets away from Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, but who cares? He's a Bruin. He's in Westwood, and, man, he looked good doing it too. And I just think that it's interesting to see. I want to see if UCLA can keep doing this.
Yes.
I want to see if they can continue to play at this level, Jake, because if they can, I don't have any doubt. That UCLA can win this conference. And as maligned as they are, I will just say, right now today, I think they're the best team in the conference, but I'm still ranking Oregon ahead because of the Buckeye win.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that's holding UCLA back is just proving that this is actually who they are. I mean, I hate to do the whole, oh, well, that was a fluke win against LSU, and it wasn't a fluke win. I mean, they won the game, but I just want to see them go out and do it a couple weeks in a row and really establish that this is who they are. And honestly, when you really get down to it, I think UCLA being a good program, being a top three program in the Pac-12 is crucial for the Pac-12, especially in a time when Clay Helton just got his ass run out of USC, and USC is not in trouble, but they're just in that kind of space where you've got at a minimum an interim head coach, and if you want my honest opinion, I think they will hire someone before the season's out. But either way, USC is not at 100%. So you start to look around this conference and you're like, okay, well, we've got UCLA, we've got Oregon, we probably have Utah, but right now we don't. They got to go out and win a couple games. So where is this conference going? Because after that, you start to look around and you're like, okay, Stanford's got to win, as we all are well aware, but they're not anything to write home about. You start to look at the Arizona schools. Big test coming up for Arizona State, BYU and Arizona State. I have no faith that Arizona State is going to Provo and winning that game. Zero faith in that program. So we'll see.
Wow.
Why should I have faith in them? Help me understand. Why should we believe that Arizona State's going to Provo and winning a game?
Because they're remarkably talented, and on the field during the game, they're a very well-coached team. I look at Arizona State, and I would actually put Arizona State third in the Pac-12 right now. I look at – now, having said that, is it really impressive that, they've beaten Southern Utah and UNLV? It's probably not. But, Jayden Daniels is completing 74% of his passes. He looks like a guy that's grown and developed over this summer, which is what he really needed to do. And he does physically look bigger. He's still slight. Somebody needs to get that guy eating some fettuccine Alfredo with extra parm.
Yeah.
Right? Fatten that boy up because he is really small.
He is a small guy.
Yeah. So, he's really going to need some size, but here nor there, it hasn't hindered him, yet. I mean, I look at some of the numbers behind ASU, the only Pac-12 team to already, go over 500 rushing yards. That's saying something. Now, again, it's Southern Utah and UNLV.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a real test in Provo. I mean, for those of you that doubt BYU's capabilities, you go to Provo and try to win a football game.
Yeah.
When you play below sea level in Arizona and then you go to Provo, Utah, and you're playing, at altitude in the mountains, good luck. That's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And they are not a team in Arizona State that has been tested yet. So it'll be interesting to see exactly, how all that works out. I mean, this is a top 25 matchup with BYU. 2 weeks away, I think in 2 weeks they go to Pasadena to take on the aforementioned UCLA Chip Kellys.
All right.
So that's going to be that. We're going to find out pretty quickly here who Herman the Devils are. But I would agree with you. I don't think they're going to Provo to win this game. I think it's asking an awful lot. Frankly, I think that's why a lot of teams want a home at home, where the home is your home first instead of BYU. But you know what? I think one of the questions that you have to ask about Arizona State is are they Pac-12 championship material? And I think if they go to Provo and win this weekend, I think you can say they are.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely change the narrative. No question about it. I just think that my biggest struggle with Arizona State is they haven't done anything. They've been a gimmick the whole time. Like, yes, he's done some nice things. Herm's recruited and done some things, but you've got the recruiting scandal. And this is what I say about USC, and I've been saying this since before Clay was fired. What do I hear about USC every year? Oh, my God, they're this great program. They're going to come out and they're going to win the Pac-12, and they're going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And they never do anything. And so to me, this is the first, going to Provo like this is your first big test. And I think that, there's a lot on the line for ASU in this game. And there's much less on the line for BYU in this game. Because BYU's already got their signature win over their rival. And I can guarantee it right now, that place is going to be packed once again. It's the first game after the Holy War in which you won. You can't tell me that house isn't going to be packed again.
Well, and weather is supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be perfect.
But I think this conversation right here goes a long way to the Pac-12's vulnerable. I mean, when you look at Washington and USC, those are two teams that are usually standing on top of the ladder, and both those teams are wounded, limping around right now. So I actually think if you can get, again, Oregon, UCLA, and Arizona State, but I mean, they're going to beat up on each other. I mean, that's what the Pac-12 is. Hopefully one of those teams comes out unscathed. Hopefully one of those teams comes out undefeated. Let's talk about your Utah Utes. They are fourth. I put them fourth in the conference right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously the BYU loss is a tough one. I think it is shocking the lack of quality on that offensive line. I think that is the number one storyline for the Utah Utes right now, is trying to figure out how to keep Charlie Brewer clean and give him just a little bit more time to throw the football. I mean, obviously Micah Bernard's performance is something that you're going to have to consistently get, because if you're going to protect the quarterback, he's going to need a running game, because there's no better offensive line help than running the football well. And I think we saw Micah Bernard doing that at 10.1 yards per carry. Now, that's not going to happen in conference play. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where you have a little light there. Now, again, you're going to San Diego to die. If you are the Utah Utes, I put you fourth in the conference right now. You got to go to San Diego State and make a statement. That San Diego State game, you have to make a statement, because you have Arizona State and UCLA 2 out of 3 weeks. This is not going to be easy. And I think you can see why this conference is known as a conference that the war of attrition is what wins you the conference championship. Staying healthy, being able to win big games, being able to battle and compete is really important in this conference. And, Jake, I think their schedule, obviously Weber was a nice, scrimmage.
Yeah.
But you found out why Utah doesn't necessarily love the Holy War.
Mm-hmm.
Because you lose to BYU, and now all of a sudden there's doubt being sown into each one of your men's mind, and you can't have that. Like a current assessment, where are you with Utah? Do you put them fourth?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously I'm taking Utah over, like I'm not nearly as high on ASU, and I'm not saying you're being unrealistic. I think ASU definitely has a lot of talent, and it is a good program, but I'm just not as high on them. I still think they have a lot of proving to do, whereas I look at Utah and I say, okay, this is the same program and largely the same team as you had in 2019. I don't really count last year for anybody because last year was just such a whack year, basically. I mean, you played 5 games or whatever it was. You didn't really play football last year. So when I look at 2019, I say, okay, this is a team that can come together and rattle off 7, 8, 9 wins in a row to get to where they need to get to. And yes, it all starts with San Diego State. And I think that the Holy War is a really tough matchup, but I think it's high risk, high reward. If you win the Holy War, we're having a different conversation. You're 2-0. You're heading to San Diego State.
Your chest is puffed out.
Yeah, So like if they would have showed up and done their job, they'd be in a great place. Now that said, I don't think they're in some horrible situation right now. Yes, San Diego State is a difficult opponent. There's no question about that. However, let's not forget who the head coach of this team is. Kyle Whittingham. He is not some.
You mean the head coach at USC?
Yeah. Let's not forget who the head coach of Utah is. The future head coach of USC in about 2 seasons. So it's all
how many people
out.
did we piss off talking about that
dude.
yesterday?
I mean, bro, like you'd have thought that. I don't know, man. It just It's
you guys hate the Utes.
Yeah. I guess my biggest thing with Utah is that they have to continue to run the football and they have to find themselves now. You can't. This San Diego State game right now today, it is the season, because if you lose this game now you're likely just not going to do much this year.
You're going to
have to win this game.
Yeah, it's a big week, and I think you'd like to see a little. Look, I think Charlie Brewer's been good, certainly not great. You'd like to see an elite performance out of him, but to get that, I think you're going to have to get the Covey-Keithy thing rolling.
Yes.
Because we haven't seen that yet. And I think you're going to have to get some better offensive line play. I think, again, I have no doubts about Micah Bernard. I don't. The question is, who's number 5 in the conference? Because I don't know that there's a real solid answer here.
No.
You know who I'd put number 5 in the conference? BYU. And this is
Bro,
an interesting.
You're gonna piss people off, dude.
BYU.
Bro.
Brigham Old University. Here's the question. If BYU were in the conference, honest to goodness, I think I'd have them third.
Yeah.
I think I would have it be Oregon, UCLA, UCLA. I'd have it be Oregon, UCLA, and then BYU, Arizona State, and Utah.
Yeah, I would. The way I would say that is Oregon's number 1 because of the road win, because of what they did, and then I would have BYU and UCLA tied for number 2. I don't think that UCLA is. I don't think that I really don't think that UCLA is that much better than BYU.
Guy, what are you talking about?
Okay, call me crazy when they get their
Jake,
ass.
Wait, Jake,
like,
you're crazy.
Yeah, cool.
UCLA.
I'll be delusional,
UCLA
bro.
is very good.
Okay, we'll see.
DTR is playing the best football of his career.
I don't give a damn. You're getting out way too far ahead of this team right now. Way too far ahead.
Listen, you're my son, and after you say things like that, I like you. I don't love you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a liability as it is, but I look at I look at UCLA, and I start looking at their schedule. And I'm telling you right now, right now, boy, I'm telling you right now that with this schedule, Hawaii, LSU open September 11th. Listen to this run. Fresno State at Stanford. Now, we know that's not going to be the easiest game. Arizona State at Arizona, at Washington, Oregon at Utah. If they lose just one of those games, they're the best team in the Pac-12. They're the best team in the Pac-12. And
yeah, but they're not. They're going to lose more than one of those games. I mean, that's going to happen. I'm just telling you. And the reason I say that is because I'm telling you, we're getting too far ahead of this team right now. I'm telling you right now, dude. Like, I get it. It was LSU, and that was a quality win and everything. But I'm telling you that Chip Kelly in this team needs to prove that they can do it, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Now, that said, it is a great win over LSU. That was the Pac-12 needed that. That was like one of the most important wins of this season so far. There's no question about that. But I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, this program is all of a sudden a world beater because they won one game.
Right, but let's keep this in perspective. Nobody's saying that UCLA is going to be a national champion.
No, but you're saying they're one of the best teams in the Pac-12.
I think
by record they are.
No, let's be real clear. I think they are the best team in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
I think Oregon. Listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Oregon Ducks. I'm truly not. I think they had a nice win at Ohio State. I think that's the top of the mountain for this team. I think when I look at Oregon and I look at who the Ducks are, I just think you lost. You had your two best defensive players out, and Ohio State couldn't beat you. That's an Ohio State problem. Their defense, and I like C.J. Verdell. He's a great running back. Ohio State doesn't give up that kind of performance if they're playing on Mars, let alone the shoe. This was an odd weekend for Ohio State. I need Oregon to back that up repeatedly.
Yeah, I agree.
Mario Cristobal, for all of the USC rumors and what everybody's talked about with Cristobal, I'm telling you, this is not who his teams have been at Oregon. That's just not who they've been. So I have a hard time hanging on to Cristobal as all of a sudden he's got, Oregon playing amazing football, because I don't think they are. So I look at Chip Kelly. The thing that stands out to me about Chip Kelly, and again, you can call me crazy if you want. The thing that stands out about Chip Kelly and their win over LSU, that's how Chip Kelly football teams play football when they're good.
Yeah.
And again, DTR is a young, athletic stud at quarterback. He is going to take them wherever they're going to go. They're going to go as he goes.
I'm just really surprised that you're putting this kind of weight into Chip Kelly. That's what I'm surprised about. Like, I'm surprised that you're feeling like Chip Kelly has, righted the ship, if you will, after one win. Like, I guess what I'm really surprised about is that you feel that the UCLA win at home against an LSU team is a bigger or a more, however you want to say it, like a more substantial win than the Ducks going on the road. But I don't. And that's why today, right now, I have Oregon number 1 in my power rankings. Power rankings. Power. That's why I have Oregon number 1 in my power rankings. Does everybody say power like that? Like, can we all just say that?
Power
all day?
rankings.
Our power rankings.
World of Atlas video game power rankings.
That's every day.
This is fucking football. It's power ranking. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, the point is, that's why I have Oregon number 1.
Yeah.
But I will tell you again, I look at the way Dorian Thompson-Robinson beat LSU.
Yeah. That was a hell of a performance. I don't doubt that, dude. I don't doubt it.
But they might as well had on Oregon uniforms.
Yeah.
This is the kind of style that Chip Kelly plays.
Yeah.
He recruits to that style.
Yep.
So when you get Charbonnet in from Michigan and you get that kind of performance, Capital One, it's ESPN.
NIL deals.
ESPN.com. It's when you get that kind of performance, this is who Chip Kelly teams are.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm in on this, because the kids have clearly bought in, right? I mean, the kids.
Yeah, that's
the
without
kids,
doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, the kids have bought into the system.
Yeah.
Now, is Chip Kelly a national championship winner? No, he's not. Am I saying they're gonna? They're better than Alabama? Bruins up? No, I don't even know what the fight phrase for UCLA is. But Bruins on.
Bruins on.
Woo, fight on. I don't even know what the UCLA fight song means. But my point is,
dude.
You can't tell me that Chip Kelly ain't playing Chip Kelly kind of football.
I mean, okay, so here's what. So you were just reading the UCLA schedule, right? So Oregon's got Stony Brook. Never heard of you. They're going to win that game. Then
I hope they lose.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Go to the shoe and beat Ohio State to lose to Stony Brook. Cool. Then you're into the Pac-12 play. So you get. So let's just assume, right? Okay, so win against Stony Brook, win against Arizona.
Yes.
Win against Stanford.
Yes.
Win against Cal.
Yes.
And then the matchup we're all waiting for: Oregon, UCLA at UCLA. That's what we're waiting for.
That's a win for UCLA.
Because then after that, I mean, if you think about it, and if you want to take UCLA's schedule back out after that, you're pretty much caked the rest of the way. You've got Colorado, Washington State, Utah, Oregon State. Utah is the only one of those where you're like, all right, they may lose that game. It really just depends where Utah's at.
I'm telling you now that this is the single biggest problem in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Is that they all punch each other in the face. And I think that's the most difficult part of this is that teams like Utah, this is why it's very difficult for a team like Utah to get over.
Yeah.
Because you can develop, grow talent,
mm-hmm.
and you got to run through a meat grinder. And the scheduling part of this thing, and it'll be nice to get a new TV deal in the Pac-12. It really will, because you got to get them on. You don't send UCLA to, several years ago, they went to Corvallis in a snowstorm on a Friday night.
Game.
Yeah, they went to Corvallis to die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it'll be interesting. Let's get some of your thoughts in here because I see a lot of you here. Brylark says, morning, boys. What's up, Brylark? Good to see you, buddy. Greg Hawkins, thanks for being here. Greg Hawkins, as it turns out, is like some kind of big-time TV dude.
Bro.
Like, I was peeping his Instagram. Like, I was stalking you, Greg, on Instagram. I'm impressed. I mean, I'm better looking than you still, but, I mean, you've got like 274,000 people that follow you.
Oh, what a loser!
Come on, step your game up.
Yeah, let's get to 500,000, please.
My 800 followers on Instagram are way better.
Let's go. Good to see you, Greg. He says, I'd also vote Oregon above UCLA right now. Mirzinski says, what about Bieniemy to USC if they can get him? I don't love that. I don't love that hire. And this is something in our pre-show meeting while we were planning our power ranking. Sorry. In our pre-show meeting today, we were arguing over Eric Bieniemy to USC. Is that a good hire? Now, I'm going to tell you that Jake was pleasuring himself thinking about Eric Bieniemy being hired.
I want it.
At USC. He's like, I'm thirsty, bro.
Right.
And I was simply saying, well, if you're USC, sure, hire a guy who's never been a head coach before, never had to recruit in college before, never had to be in charge of making men. Like, I mean, that's fine.
Y'all about to fuck this up.
Yeah, go ahead, do what you've always done. I mean, that's cool. Well, but he's won Super Bowl as like a coordinator. Do you understand that Eric Bieniemy's never been a head coach on any level? If you're USC, can you take that risk?
Bro. I mean, listen.
Wait, let me single you up on the camera.
Go ahead and single me up, because this is one of the this is
Welcome to the Eric Bieniemy Fan Club Video of the Week.
All I'm saying with Bieniemy is that he has been running the most potent offense in the NFL for quite some time.
Eric Bieniemy is sexy.
What now? Let me tell you what now.
Exactly.
I just think that Bieniemy is. I think that Bieniemy would be a good fit. I think he's younger. I think he would do really well in LA, and I think that Bieniemy has been trying to get a head coaching spot in the NFL for how many seasons now? And so I think for him, he's passionate about getting to a head coaching position. Now you're right. I agree with you that. Yes, there is a bit of risk in it because he's never had to do the recruiting thing, and the college game is different. There's no question about that. But I just think, when you look at the available pool of candidates, like we were talking about yesterday on the show, it's not deep. And I think that
I'd agree with that.
If you're USC, it's going to be really hard to find, like, we were talking about Kyle Whittingham, considering this position and what that would look like. There are not many Kyle Whittingham-esque candidates who are currently running a college football program who are available.
But there's a lot of good names who would take that job. And I think, again, not to be redundant, because I know we were ad nauseum about this yesterday, but USC is still a premier job in college football. And it's not for everybody. I think that was your best point yesterday. I don't think USC is for everybody. But if you're Eric Bieniemy, he's got 1 year as an offensive coordinator at Colorado, his alma mater. I mean, that's the extent of his leadership in college football.
Which way do you think is more risky? An NFL offensive or defensive coordinator going to a head coaching position in college, or a college head coach going to trying to be an NFL head coach.
Oh, geez. I don't think there's any doubt it's much more difficult to go from college to the NFL as a head coach. I mean, as Nick Saban infamously found
Urban
out.
Meyer.
I mean, Urban Meyer right now. Like, you can't just run dudes over like you can in college.
Chip Kelly.
They're not scared of you. They're not scared. Like, and I could make the argument Chip Kelly was far more successful than Nick Saban was in the NFL.
Oh, I would agree
Right?
with that.
I mean,
yeah.
but I think it's very difficult to go to the NFL and, you can't threaten to call my mom. You can't threaten to pull my Scully if I don't, lose some weight. You can't threaten to,
You don't have leverage.
right? I'm here. I'm good. What the F are you going to do about it? I'm not going to, you're not going to threaten me with, like, oh, you're going to lose reps if you don't go to class. Okay, cool. I'm good. You're going to play me because you want to win.
How dumb do you think I am?
Right? Like, that's the problem in the NFL, right? So, anyway, my point is, if I'm USC, Eric Bieniemy's a risk. If I am the, Jamoke freak, whoever's, the Cincinnati Bengals should have hired Eric Bieniemy as their head coach.
What about Stony Brook?
Now, no. Eric Bieniemy ain't taking the Stony Brook job, man. He should be a head coach in the NFL.
He should, but that's not going to happen.
And he should take the USC job if it's offered. USC should not hire Eric Bieniemy. That's a risk. You need a guy who's won and won big. You need Chris Peterson. You need Kyle Whittingham. You need Urban Meyer. But I don't know that any of those three guys, want or are available to take that job. Because, again, anyway. Eric Bieniemy's a hell of a coach, and he's going to be a great NFL coach.
Yeah.
If I'm USC, I can't afford the risk because you have no idea what he's going to be like as a head coach, mainly because he's never been one.
Right.
Let's see. Greg Hawkins says Oregon mauled Ohio State. They looked fantastic. Yes, they did.
And that's
Yes, they did.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, you make a good point that even with the injuries, they still handled Ohio State. So just the same way we're saying that about UCLA and LSU, you have to say it about Oregon. But I don't know, man. We watched most of that game, and I was like, man, they're dialed in. I mean, they're smooth. They're
Absolutely.
ready to go. Like, they have good pace about them. Like, everything was good.
I just don't know what happened to. And Ryan Day's talked a lot about it this week. Ryan Day, the head coach at Ohio State.
Some guy.
He's just some guy. He basically said they're completely retooling their defense.
Yeah.
Because Verdell just ran that ass over.
Yeah. Road graded you, dude.
Had his way all day. And you can't have that. And so my point is, I think UCLA and Oregon are very good teams. I think UCLA, I don't even know that it's close, is the best team in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Where would BYU fit in? I would not put them second. I would have it be, right now today, to be Oregon, UCLA, BYU, Arizona State, Utah.
Man, you think Arizona State's better than Utah?
Well, because Arizona State hasn't lost yet. But, I think there's some difference. I have a lot of concerns about Utah's offensive line.
It was not good.
Man, I'm telling you, I still believe in Charlie Brewer, but now I have a lot of question marks. And this is what losing does to you.
Yes.
I mean, it makes you stand around and you wind up scratching your balls and saying, like, okay, what was that? Right? Like, if you're Charlie Brewer, you're sitting in front of your locker and you're like, what was that? We just got boat raced by BYU.
Yeah.
And now we got to go to San Diego State. And then we get into conference play.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
You better come out, and I guarantee you, it's 7 o'clock in the morning in Salt Lake City right now. Witt's been at work for 3 hours. I mean, like, their nose is to the grindstone trying to figure out this offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is you have a really good defense to practice against, but that offensive line, you show up at, Cafe Coyotes.
Get you, bro.
You show up at Cafe Coyote in Old Town
miss
San
that place,
Diego.
dude. I miss that place so much.
Well,
dude.
see, Mrs. Monty didn't want to, go have fun, so we didn't go to Southern California, so we were not allowed. She grounded us because
Whatever.
we're going to talk about the iPhone. She's getting an iPhone.
I don't know how you did it.
I traded sex, travel, and my entire shoe budget to get her to get onto an iPhone.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, it's so expensive we still can't afford the iPhone, but I traded all that stuff in return. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, the point is, Cafe Coyote, Old Town San Diego.
So good, dude.
My dudes. But you better show up in San Diego ready to blow some people up. And This is where you define who Kyle Whittingham is as a head coach. Because these are the games, and everybody's going to be like, oh, it's not a conference game. What do you mean must win? This a must win.
Yeah.
This is where you throw it on the table and pull out a measuring tape and be like, hey, this is who we are. This is who we are. Oh, you want a bench? Okay, I can bench 225. You can't. Let me throw it up 50 times. Like this is where you flex and you're like, hey, sorry, San Diego State, but we're ending some careers tonight.
What do you bench?
That's what Utah's got to do.
Yeah.
And that's who Kyle Whittingham has always been as a coach. You lose a game like you lost to BYU, now we're going to come out and we're going to break your neck. Sorry, I know it's not your fault we lost to BYU, but we're kicking your ass anyway.
Are we clear on that?
Let's see how that goes. Now,
Okay.
if you're USC, here's a question for you. There's USC top 7 teams. So if we go Oregon, UCLA,
Yeah.
Arizona State, Utah, I mean, I could probably make an argument for Colorado. I'm
No.
not in on Stanford at all.
USC is 5th.
I think
is fifth.
USC is the 5th best team in the conference.
USC is 5th just on merit alone, and I think that this whole thing is going to go one of two ways for USC. You fire the head coach, the program's burning to the ground. That next week is vital. You're either going to come together as a squad,
Yes.
and you're going to play a hell of a football game, and Keaton Slovis is actually going to wake the hell up and make some throws, or you're not. And it's going to be a 3-win season, and you're going to be the embarrassment of the conference.
It's Pride Week at USC.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is like everything.
No doubt about it.
As a captain on a college football team, and the captain of the USC football team, I would expect Slovis to come out ready to play, like ready to get after it, and I hope that they win. I really do. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting, and Mitch wants to know why all of a sudden we're Utah fans. Okay,
We go.
there
through
were
this
some
every
comments.
day.
Yeah, there were some comments on YouTube yesterday about this too. We're not Utah fans. We're not BYU fans. I'm a Pac-12 football fan.
Right.
But frankly, my team's Notre Dame. And we're going to lose in the college football playoff that we shouldn't get into every year, but we do. We're going to lose. And Alabama, and look, we're going to get run over by Alabama because Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend, called the plays that week. Like,
Suck my ass.
yeah, we're going to get rolled. I'm a Notre Dame fan. So I have the luxury of being unbiased when it comes to talking Utah, BYU, or anything in the Pac-12.
Right.
Because I am fortunate enough to hate USC because Notre Dame's always better than USC.
Obviously.
It's just the way it goes.
Right.
But I look at USC right now, and I'm telling you, they're still their roster is deep, and his talent there too deep is freaking phenomenal. And again, I wouldn't want to be Wazoo this week. Washington State, we're coming to stomp on your testicles. If I'm the Trojans, I'm coming for you. I'm saying a lot of outrageous things.
Think that's HIPAA?
Because their testicles are covered by HIPAA. If they were on paper and they were record.
Think that's HIPAA?
But, my point is, if I'm Washington State,
Yeah, it's not going to be good for you.
you should probably put an extra chin strap on each helmet this week. Because my guess is USC is going to come out and try and prove a point. Because every man in that locker room is upset that Clay Helton's not going to be on the sideline.
Yeah.
He is a really well-respected man. Look, again, Clay Helton's a really good guy. He's a great human being. Just not a great football coach.
Yeah.
That's a guy that's a coordinator, not a head coach, right? Eric Bieniemy. Anyway, my point
Yeah,
is...
the difference is Bieniemy hasn't had the chance to fail yet.
Very true. And Clay Helton's failed a lot. But my point is, I think USC is going to prove a point. And their schedule, I think, actually plays well for them. If you look at USC's schedule, at Wazoo, home for Oregon State, okay, they're going to be 3-1. At Colorado, that's a really difficult game, and I actually think Colorado. I mean, the Texas A&M game, if it showed us anything, that Colorado can compete.
Yeah.
USC is going to be 4-1. They're going to lose at home to Utah. They're going to be 4-2. They're going to lose at Notre Dame because the Catholics always win. I don't know what the religious thing has to do with it, but anyway. Hopefully they beat Notre Dame so Brian Kelly gets fired. Let him take the SC job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tebow. Arizona at Arizona State, Cal at Cal, UCLA and BYU. By the way, you're probably going to be an 8-9 win team. And you fired your head coach.
Yeah.
That's why I said USC's still a good job. All right, let's get some more comments in here. Cody Strickland, good morning to you. He says, it's been so long. Good morning. And by the way, I want to say how great it was on 9/11 that it in the news didn't post much of anything bad like Biden or Trump. Yeah, well, that was refreshing. I agree. Greg Hawkins, Arizona State is too inconsistent to be a, quote, go-to program. Agree.
Yeah.
Edgar Garcia, what's up, Edgar Garcia? Where have you been? You want this Xbox, Edgar? Well, you should probably post a picture that you're subscribed
Like
to.
Greg
the channel.
Hawkins did.
Like Greg Hawkins did.
Yeah.
To his 275,000 followers on Instagram.
You have a deal.
What a stud. By the way, we're rapidly approaching 2,100 subscribers. Only 400 away from giving away the Traeger smoker.
Yep.
And we're going to give away an Xbox Series S. All you have to do is subscribe. Take a picture you're subscribed. Put it on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, and tag both The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars. Brylark says, how is Arizona State ranked 19th? They haven't shown anything to deserve that.
I agree completely.
Okay, well, rankings are always a projection. How do you think we have preseason rankings? How do you think we have preseason All-Americans?
Yeah, but we're not in preseason anymore. They've played 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they're 19th in the country after they beat Stony Brook or whoever the hell they played.
But they've played well.
Yeah.
They've played well. Jayden Daniels. Hey, I don't know. I know nobody's watching Arizona State football because, well, nobody does. But my point is, they've played really well.
Yeah. Against who?
You're
who?
impossible.
I'm not impossible, dude. I'm not impossible. They should not be a top 20 team when you've played UNLV and whoever else they played.
Hey, who's anybody played at this point? We've had a couple of big
Utah's
games.
played BYU. Oregon's played Ohio State.
Why is Alabama number one?
Because Alabama, year after year, shows that they are the best team in the country.
But they beat Mercer. Oh, but it's,
you want to say I'm impossible.
Come
You're
on.
being impossible. Arizona State does not have the merit or the consistency that Alabama has. That is a ridiculous comparison.
Okay.
It's not even close.
Oklahoma's 2-0. Do you have any idea who Oklahoma's played?
No, I don't.
Tulane and Western Kentucky Weed Eater Building Institution.
And I would take Oklahoma over Arizona State every day.
Well, fuck. I mean, who's
Then what are we
who's
talking
not?
about? Then what are we
Who's
talking
not?
about? Why are you
They're
bringing
19th.
Oklahoma and Alabama into the conversation,
They're
dude?
19th. Who cares?
Like-
right? Like they're ninth. My point is, everything's a projection. My wife just murdered a mosquito with a tennis racket electrified thing. I'm proud of you, babe.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
Damn right. But my point is, it's projections. Who cares? Ask me in October where they're ranked, because that's when it's going to start to matter, right? When the college football playoff rankings come out, ask me where they're ranked. Who cares where you're ranked right now? Just go kick some ass. You know, like that to me is why it matters. Colin says, good morning, and that go Gators. Okay, Colin. Jeremy Bolton says, you got to put Bishop Sycamore 5th in the Pac-12.
You are fake.
Give me that. Exactly right. Give me that Bishop Sycamore bomb. God, I love you. Jeremy Bolton every day comes ready.
Every day,
He
bro.
comes ready.
Every day.
Colin also says, no Bishop Sycamore just got an invite to the Big 12.
Yeah. Come on.
Exactly right. Greg Hawkins says, LOL, thanks. Yeah, I'm from Utah, but I work on TV in the Philippines. Oh, no kidding. Wow, that's cool,
dude.
bro.
That's cool.
very cool. Oh, wow.
So wait,
Comment
does that mean if, I'm not saying you will, but if you were to win the Traegers, that means we have to ship it to the Philippines, or is it staying here?
Oh, no, Greg Hawkins. Please if you win the Traeger, please give us your Utah address, please. I mean, you're a baller, so I'm assuming you have multiple homes across the globe.
I want it.
You know. Brylark says Bishop Sycamore can't join the Big 12. They already signed with the SEC, correct. Colin says, we already got our new bottom feeder. We got Texas. Okay, am I the only one that hates if Texas never wins another game in any sport,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. I
Like-
mean, outside of Kevin Durant being from Texas, I'm good.
Here we go.
What?
The problem is, here's the problem.
What?
The problem is
Uh-huh.
Texas being in the SEC is going to allow them to recruit at a higher level.
Yeah.
It's going to keep a lot more kids in Texas, I think. But my God, I'm already over it. They suck.
Yeah.
Like, go away. Like, Texas is no. Austin Dent says we're not BYU centric. Then you ask, How does this impact BYU for things that have very little to do with BYU? Well, I would tell you the BYU's 2-0 against the Pac-12.
Yeah, how does it have very little to do with BYU when they're playing a bunch of Pac-12 teams this
who
year?
do they play this week? They
That's
play
got
Arizona
to be,
State.
with all due respect, that's got to be one of the dumbest things you've ever said, dude. I mean, they play the Pac-12 a ton
Hey,
this
man,
year.
with all due respect,
I mean, that's just a silly take.
With
dude.
all due
What do you mean it
respect,
has
I mean no respect
what does it have,
at all.
What do you mean it has nothing to do with BYU? They play the Pac-12 all the time, dude.
Anytime you start a sentence with all due respect,
I mean, Jesus.
Jesus.
How many?
deserving
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
respect.
I'm sorry, Joseph. How many times? How many times is BYU going to wreck a Pac-12 school season?
What happened to this show today?
Every single year they do it.
Eric C. says a Josh McDaniels type would work. Josh McDaniels would be a great hire at USC because he's been a head coach.
I love this. I love this so much.
What? He's been a head coach?
He hasn't done a damn thing as a head coach. He was a head coach for 5 minutes, dude.
Well, he was a head coach.
For 5 minutes.
Well, but Eric Bieniemy doesn't even have 5
dude,
minutes.
I can't. They're the same guy, dude.
They're not. Oh my.
They're the same guy. They're the same guy. They're primarily offensive coordinators.
Jesus.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Josh McDaniels.
I understand that my seed mistakenly swam into her womb, but please help me with patience, please. Josh McDaniels. You could make the argument that he's the reason Tom Brady is so good.
Nope.
Nope. B. Josh McDaniels has a fistful of Super Bowl championship
because
rings.
of Tom Brady.
Okay, and you're here because of your mom, not my sperm. Fine. The point
I
is,
doubt that.
yeah, apples to oranges, dick.
It's
Josh
amazing
McDaniels
to me.
still has all those
It
rings.
doesn't matter. When it comes to USC, none of that matters.
Best coach in the history of the NFL
Dude,
is
it doesn't matter. Bill Belichick.
not Eric Bieniemy.
It doesn't it's amazing to me. I don't understand.
It does matter.
I don't understand how you use this logic. Oh well, Josh McDaniels is so much better of a hire for USC because he's got a bunch of Super Bowls.
He has experience.
When has he ever done that? When has he ever recruited? When has he ever run a college program?
But
He's
here's
never done
the
any
thing.
of that.
But here's the thing. You can put Josh McDaniel in any living room in this country, and he's going to say, "Hey, you want to touch my Super Bowl rings?" And hey, by the way, Tommy and I are really close. And hey, by the way, I can get you ready to go to the NFL because I know what that takes. And by the way, you want to touch my Super Bowl rings? Like the guy, he works for Bill Belichick, who is the greatest coach in the history of the NFL.
Yeah,
and I don't
whatever,
care
man.
if it was Tom Brady or not. Josh McDaniels' resume is incredible. Eric Bieniemy is going to be a very good head coach, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just not your first job can't be USC football when you've never been a head coach before.
Okay.
You've been an offensive coordinator at Colorado. You have very little college experience.
But that's the same logic, dude, for both of them.
But it's
you're
not.
holding it against
Okay.
Bieniemy and not holding it against McDaniels.
I don't see
bro.
how you're not seeing
Eric
the difference
Bieniemy,
between the two.
Dude, Eric Bieniemy he made Patrick Mahomes. Do you realize that? Do you want to talk about recruiting?
Wait, I would slow your roll. Who does he work for? He works for Andy Reid, who routinely, everywhere he goes, has made his quarterbacks elite. He made Donovan McNabb a Super Bowl quarterback who threw up on the field.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on this.
I
just can't get down with your logic on this.
Well, I don't know. It's not logic. It's fact.
It's not.
I look at the fact that, A, Josh McDaniels is younger than Eric Bieniemy, and he's accomplished far more because he has far more experience at a much higher level. That's why.
So wait, what's the higher level? What's the higher level that he has much more experience in?
The much higher level is the New England Patriots winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, consistently putting elite offenses on the field. And when they didn't have talent, because they didn't buy wide receivers, he turned out Chris Hogan.
But I want you to hear what you're saying right now. I'm not trying to be difficult on this. What are you saying? What is your logic for McDaniels being better than Bieniemy?
Hey, he's been a coordinator on 6 Super Bowl teams. 6. Like the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL. He's been there for 6 Super Bowls.
So when I say Eric Bieniemy developed Patrick Mahomes, you want to take that away from Bieniemy and say that was Andy Reid. But then when we talk about McDaniels, you want to say, hey, He was the guy that led the offense to Super Bowl after Super Bowl. When I say, okay, well, that was Belichick, we're not going to use that same
Bill
logic.
Belichick is a defensive mind. He's a defensive guy. And I think when you look at Andy Reid, this is Andy Reid's claim to fame is quarterbacks. Whether that's Brett Favre, like you can go through. I mean, with all due respect, I just think we're talking about apples and oranges. Eric Bieniemy and Josh McDaniels are two completely different guys. Josh McDaniels has been, all he's been is a winner. He had one blip on the radar with the Denver Broncos for one season, and it went horribly wrong. And I agree, that's not a great thing, right? But he goes back to New England in 2012 after the Rams job. They hire him immediately back as soon as they can at New England, and they just start winning again. And he's won 6 rings, and he's 45 years old. Like the guy has, his experience is exponentially further, deeper, and more successful than Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but he's got one Super Bowl. And yeah, he was 2 years ago. He was the coordinator of the year, and
I'm telling you, wherever he goes, he's going to be a highly successful head coach.
I agree with that. I just don't think if you're
think that
USC,
the USC job is too good for him.
No, I think USC can't take a risk.
And you think that Josh McDaniels isn't a risk when he failed as a head coach and has only shown he can do it as a
is far
coordinator?
less of a risk than Eric Bieniemy.
Okay,
far less of a risk. And I think the U.S. and again, this goes probably back to how much I value the USC job, because I do. USC needs to hire somebody who's held a trophy over their head as a head coach. So I would not hire Josh McDaniels. I would not hire Eric Bieniemy. I would hire Chris Peterson, Kyle Whittingham. I would try to hire Urban Meyer. If you haven't called Urban Meyer yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Luke Fickell he hasn't won.
Yeah.
But he's got you 8th in the country, and you're in the Big 12. Okay, I'm not hiring Cristobal. Not hiring that. I'm hiring a proven winner, a program builder. I'm hiring a stud.
Right.
That and Eric Bieniemy will be that. Just don't think he is that. Greg Hawkins says, if I win that Traeger, I'd have it in my Utah address. Thank you. I agree with the Texas take. They're awful. Every year, I'd rather get my ass vacuumed in a hot tub than watch them, Jeremy Bolton says. Now, I feel like we had an argument and the show's taken a negative turn.
No, it's fine.
Brylark says, don't forget the Josh McDaniels Denver Broncos experiment. Well, yeah, and for sure. And where did Andy Reid get his quarterback knowledge from? BYU, baby. Exactly right. As an Eagle fan, I'll never forgive Donovan McNabb's partying the night before the Super Bowl and then throwing up in the middle of the game. But with that being said, he is still the best QB in Eagles history. I would agree with that. Although... I don't know about Randall Cunningham.
No.
Ron Jaworski? I don't know. Different conversation.
Okay.
All right, let's talk Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Because now you're all pissed off, and
No, I'm fine.
I should punch you in the face.
But this is what I think the issue with college jobs is. It's how much you value the job. So if someone values Stony Brook more than they value USC, they're going to make some argument about who should be there. And I'm telling you that if I'm looking at a candidate, I don't care if they've won Super Bowls. What I care about is how good are they with human beings, right? And what is their plan to go out and win football games in this program? And how much do they understand? Have they put time in understanding the program? And I don't think that my biggest problem with McDaniels is that the Denver thing, but also I just feel like he's not his mentality is coordinator, not head coach. Where I feel like Bieniemy, all he wants to do is be a head coach, and nobody's giving him the chance.
Well, you also have to remember about McDaniels. He is the coach in waiting in New England.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bill Belichick retires,
and I think that's the right move for the Patriots.
I think the question here is, and maybe this is the reason we disagree, is USC still a premier job?
I mean, I think it's a premier job, but I don't think it's not better than any of the major SEC jobs. It's not better than.
So you don't think USC is better than Florida?
I don't think USC is better than,
It's not Alabama.
The day that Edo leaves LSU. I think you got to have a real conversation about whether you'd rather be in the SEC or the Pac-12.
I mean, the LSU job's probably better than the SC job. I mean, your access to a national championship is unequivocal. I mean,
is USC better than, Ohio State? I don't know. I think it depends what you're looking for as a head coach. It depends on, what conference you want to be in, what kind of football you want to play. Like,
is Notre Dame a better job than USC?
Yeah, and that's a great
Probably.
question. I think that goes back to what kind of institution do you want to coach at? Where do you want to be? Like what? Because I do believe that head coaches consider geography. Do I want to be coaching in the Midwest? LA. The Southeast. Like where do I want to be? So I think, hey, is it a better job to me? No, I think whoever the guy is, because it will happen. Eventually, USC is going to be, a powerhouse again. It's a matter of time. It's not an if, but a when. So the thing is whoever is going to be the guy to take them back to the promised land, that's going to be a legendary thing for you, and you'll be forever remembered as the guy that brought USC back to where they need to be. But right now, today, when you combine how bad they've been with how bad the Pac-12 is, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, that's one of the best jobs in the country. That's hard for me.
Yeah, it's not very difficult for me. I think, USC is one of the best jobs in college football. I mean, if all you have to do is win, and at any of the major jobs, all you have to do is win. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Let's get this Donovan Mitchell audio in here. So Donovan Mitchell sat down with one of my favorite guys, Sam Amick at The Athletic, is spectacular humanity. The guy is, I am a huge, huge Sam Amick fan. I know him from my days in Sacramento. But he is a really good journalist. He is a really good NBA mind. And he got Donovan Mitchell to say something. I don't know why I feel like this is out of Don's character. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't know what this was. It's on my Twitter feed, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. But here's Donovan Mitchell sitting next to his mom being interviewed by Sam Amick and The Athletic.
It's no slight to Phoenix or Milwaukee or the Clippers. I feel like if we were healthy, we get to the finals. I feel like we necessarily win, but it's all easy when you say ifs, ands, and buts. You know what I mean? It's all easy to say that, but
it had to be hard to watch those teams get after.
The only game I watched actually was Game 6 of the finals, which is unheard of for me because I usually sit there and torture myself after every loss. But for me, this was a summer where I had to. This was a summer for me, and this was actually the first summer I didn't do USA basketball. There was no traveling overseas for the shoe tour. So it was really my first summer where I got to sit my butt down. You know what I mean? And sit there and just, reflect and think about life, and then also the game, and kind of be in a different headspace and be ready to lock in when the season comes.
Which is all well and good, but what do you mean if you were healthy, you'd have been in the NBA Finals? I'm a little surprised he said that. Now, I guess you wouldn't expect him to say anything different. Are you at all surprised that Donovan Mitchell talked about this?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by it because I think it's one thing to say if they would have gotten to the conference finals and he got hurt and then he wants to say, well, hey, if I had stayed healthy, we'd have made it. Okay, I can kind of get down with that. You were in the Western Conference Finals. You were one series win away from going to the NBA Finals, but you didn't even get there. Like, to me, the NBA, and just like we were talking about with Pac-12 football, with any sport, it's a war of attrition. I mean, whoever's healthy is likely going to win, and I always have a problem with this. This is not a Donovan Mitchell problem. This is a top end athlete problem. Oh well, if we were healthy, we'd have won. Well, you weren't healthy, so candies and nuts, dude. Like have a more healthy team, and you would have made it. I always have a problem with this. This is the oh well, if the Rockets were healthy, they would have beat the Warriors. Well, they weren't, so they didn't. So yeah, I do think it's out of character, and I don't know why he's running his mouth about this stuff. Let the past go. That's my problem. Let it go. Move forward. Training camp opens in 2 weeks, and you're still talking about the playoffs. What are we doing?
Well, and I think one of the things that I find so interesting about this is that, again, if we go back in history here, what has Mike Conley always done? And that is he's always gotten hurt. And we want to keep, as Jazz fans, I think we want to keep going back to, well, if Mike Conley hadn't gotten hurt, well, he always did. And guess what? What's Mike Conley going to do? Mike Conley's going to get hurt. Okay, why did you draft point guard? Because Mike Conley's always hurt. Mike Conley's hurt and water is wet. It's just simple facts of life. So here's the other problem that you're going to have trouble getting away from. You're not as talented as the Clippers, and you're not as talented as the Suns. So if you're all 100%, that means Kawhi Leonard's 100%, and that means you're not beating the Clippers. Because I would also remind you that you still had Rudy Gobert all alone against Terrence Mann in the corner. That ain't because somebody's injured. And I think when you were 100% in LA at Staples Center, what happened? Mm-hmm. Well, Patrick Beverley in the regular season, what was that? February, maybe Martin Luther King Day, somewhere back in that way. Patrick Beverley manned you up in the corner against Rudy Gobert and hit a 3-point shot. I would remind you, and I know it's sexy and, oh, man, Jazz, buddies, woo. They're a horribly flawed team until they're not.
Yeah.
And I will again tell you, you're not going to win a championship with Rudy Gobert on this roster. You're not going to win a championship until you stop being nostalgic about Mike Conley's contract. And I'm telling you right now, if they were 100% and the Clippers are 100%, Clippers are a better team than the Jazz. And they would have won that series. And I think it's because when you start looking around and you start looking at the guys that won that series for you, oh, man, Joe Ingles is in Paul George's head. Paul George played elite basketball in that series.
Yeah.
You were out of gas. Joe Ingles and Bogey were tired. Derek Favors really didn't have a place in that series. And Rudy Gobert got exposed defensively. Mm-hmm. That all still happens if Donovan and Conley are healthy. Would Donovan have put up 100 points? Sure. If he was 100%, yeah, great. But are you telling me that Kawhi Leonard wouldn't have started picking him up?
By the way, the bigger issue is not that he was hurt. The bigger issue is he played too much hero ball, and that led to turnovers. And so that's why the series got away from him. And I just the reason athletes do this and the reason fans do this is to feel better about the fact that you lost. That's why you do it. You're trying to justify why you lost, and you want to say, well, if, and it's like, dude, at the end of the day, what's more powerful is if you would just say, yeah, you know what, we lost, I wasn't able to stay healthy, and now that's in the past, and now I'm moving forward, and I've been working with Brickley, and I've been in these runs, and I'm back to where I want to be.
And I've been in David Alexander's gym in Miami multiple weeks of this offseason. Donovan Mitchell, and this is why I said, and everybody freaked out when I said this, but he's on the same career path as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had that injury early in his career and, didn't have the horses around him. And now all of a sudden, here's Donovan Mitchell, major injury in the playoffs. They lose. It's a growing experience. What do you take from that loss? Well, you grow, you learn, you get educated. The roster improves a little bit. Donovan Mitchell, without question, is going to be one of the best 5 players in the NBA this season, in my opinion. I think he is going to come out on a mission, and he's going to be elite. But you still have Rudy's contract. And you didn't get younger, you got older. And so you're still going to have Mike Conley injured.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to count on, a really good draft pick and some free agents, and you're going to hope that they stay healthy, and you're going to hope that Donovan stays healthy. That's what this is going to come down to. You're still going to be probably in the regular season. You'll probably still finish top 3 in the West. But the Clippers are intact. Who knows what Kawhi's going to be with this knee thing? I guess we'll find out.
Some other team called the Lakers that are,
Did you see Russell Westbrook wearing a dress?
Yeah, let's not.
By the way, but no, I'm not talking about Kwame Brown.
Don't.
Kwame Brown should stop talking. Anyway,
that's enough of that crap.
The point is, Donovan Mitchell's not your problem.
Yeah.
And I would not expect him to say anything other than what he said. I'm just surprised he said it at all.
Yeah.
You're not going to improve until you turn over some key guys on this roster. And I still maintain that if I was a betting man, I'd be 80-20 that Joe Ingles is gone before the All-Star break, the trade deadline. And my guess is that you don't win a championship as long as Rudy Gobert is on this roster. He's $41 million a year, and I just don't see how you can absorb his lack of offense in half court. I think the other thing that was really apparent as the playoffs went on, in the Olympics we saw the same thing. Clutch time, crunch time, you can't give the ball to Rudy Gobert.
Half the time he's not on the floor.
Now, does he show up with the ability to dribble, and does he show up with something other than a dunk? Let's see. I hope so. I really hope so. It'll be really interesting to see how his game develops.
Yeah.
Because you can't come back the same guy you were in the Olympics. I'm telling you that right now. Let's see. What are we...
Who's pissed off in the comments now?
Let's see. Tanner Plummer says... Plummer, Donovan or Randall Cunningham? In the Eagles' court, it's probably Randall Cunningham. Matthew Braz says Chris Peterson to USC. Nah, not yet. Tanner Plummer says Donovan in a heartbeat. Randall didn't produce in the playoffs. Well, he did for the Vikings. Well, that was probably cold-blooded. You know. I like James Knight. Oh, James Knight. Well, he's probably not going to be happy. James Knight says, here you guys go. You're going to slaughter Donovan for having confidence in his team's ability to get it done if they were healthy. They didn't fluke the best record in the NBA.
Yes, they did.
Well, but even if they didn't, what was the best record in the NBA worth? What did it get you? Didn't get you the NBA Finals. What did the Bucks think about you having the best record in the NBA? I don't think they thought about the Jazz when they were pushing the O'Brien Trophy over their head. I could be wrong. But when they were playing the Suns in the finals, do you think they were thinking about Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz? Because I don't. I mean, it's almost meaningless. Because what happened at home? You lost. What did home court throughout the playoffs really mean to you? Nothing. Go win the tournament. That's what it means to you. You want to brag about having the best record in the NBA? Go win a championship with it. 72-10 is only 72-10 because they won a championship with it. That's what it requires. At this point, and again, I know we've argued about this with the Jazz, but this is the Lakers, Suns, you name it. Your guy in Brooklyn, Kevin Durant and the Nets. It's championship or we failed.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Is that who the Jazz are right now? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah, they haven't even got to the Western Conference Finals yet.
I think they'd be thrilled to go to the Western Conference Finals. I think Jazz fans would be like, oh, we finally made it. All right, cool. Whew, caffeine-free Diet Coke for everybody. Like, that can't be the standard. You can't do that. You can't. Brylark says the Jazz had way more problems than health. I would agree with that. Casey Finlinson, good morning, my friend. Where are the pictures of the scoreboard, Casey? Listen. Casey, I understand that expectations are tough for people to carry around. I totally get that. The expectation on this show is that you're going to tweet us pictures of the scoreboard.
I want it.
And when you don't do that, it's incredibly disappointing. And frankly, I take it personally.
You're a douche.
So
I didn't mean that. Sorry. Hit the
dump button that we don't know. The point is, Casey, I want pictures of the scoreboard. Are the side panels on? Is it going to be ready for the game?
I want it.
I'm thirsty. You know what I'm saying? Dimes and Knicks, bro. Let's go. Casey says, I would hope. I should stop. Comment dump, so I lost his comment. I would hope Don would say that and have total faith in his team. He also said, Jake, that it didn't happen, so he moved on and had a non-stressed summer. Mm-hmm. Well, no, what he said is he didn't watch the playoffs because they lost.
Because he's too pissed off that he lost.
Yeah, I don't know that I can agree with that. The Jazz had way more problems in health. Tanner says, and for those who didn't know, yes, a good number of Saints fans are like that. Okay. Teddy Wayman, what's up? I talked to your guy, Teddy. Teddy Wayman says the Jazz biggest problem was Gobert. Rudy's contract really hurts them. It does. Mind Axiom. The timing of Clay being fired seems a ploy to get USC and the Pac-12 back in the news.
Okay.
Mind Axiom. I think it was terrible timing.
Infowars.com.
I don't think tinfoil played a part. Ayush Kanungobo and stuff says true. Okay, yeah, he agrees with that.
Who the fuck are you?
We know that they are flawed, but I want my star players feeling like they can be world beaters and win them all. I'd be more upset if he crapped on his team. Well, yeah, I would agree with that. Jackson Graham says, can BYU beat Arizona State? They look better than the Utes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I do think they can. The defensive line's got to play the same way this week as it did last week. That would be great. Sean Mierzinski, kinda. They gave him too many chances. That blowout was the final straw. I don't know what that means.
I think that's a Clay Helton reference.
Okay. Tanner Plummer says, Kwame Brown is gone. The City of Angels holler, which should be celebrating, throw a parade already.
Bro, what are you
talking about, man?
Okay. Brylark says the Jazz being first in the West is like Tom Brady going undefeated in the regular season and losing the Super Bowl. Screw you, Eli. Tanner Plummer says, I do believe BYU can beat Arizona State, Tanner says. I agree with that. Teddy Wayman says, top 3 teams out West, 1 Lakers, 2 Suns, 3 Jazz. Where are the Clippers?
And a healthy Nuggets team.
Who re-signed
Aaron
Gordon. Truth. James Knight says, my point is they do make Western Conference Finals if they're minimum. But they weren't, so they didn't. And we don't. I will kick a small rabbit if you
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
I just don't. I hate the conversation. Well, if we were healthy, Joe Ingles would have had more threes. You know, he's going to have a great year. He napped.
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
And Joe Ingles, man. By the way, did you guys see that Dante Exum signed with the Houston Rockets? He's going to replace John Wall. He's a star. Where's John Wall end up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you guys hear that story yesterday? John Wall and the Rockets are done. They're going to negotiate a buyout. He will not play in a single regular season game for them.
Yeah, he'll find a home somewhere. I think. Yeah, there's so many options. I don't know. I mean, when you're in that situation, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, and he actually can still play. I think he showed that last year.
Yeah.
Tanner Plummer says, keep reading my comment about Kwame Brown. No, probably not. I hate Stephen A. Smith. Jeremy Bolton says the Clippers are in L.A. Oh, whew, thank you.
Man,
I was worried.
Thank you.
I was worried about that.
Yes, yes.
All right. What else? Where do you want to go here? Want to talk iPhone 13? You want to talk
iPhone.
California recall?
No. iPhone.
Okay, so Mrs. Monty's all in on the iPhone 13.
So how did
Pro
this?
Max.
Explain this whole situation. How did all this happen?
I don't know.
So Mrs. Monty's been an Android user for a long time.
No. Slow down. Take it easy.
Okay.
Let's be honest. She's been an Android user, yes, but she has been an adamant hater of iPhones, anything Apple. I mean, if Apple produces it, it's bad. I'm not even allowed to have Apples in my house because she hates Apple so much.
Yeah.
Like, we're not allowed to buy apple pie. We're not allowed to buy apple fritters.
Unless it's from Costco. That's
right,
different.
and you have to pay for it
Yeah.
because we don't give our money to. And like, I wanted to plant apple trees in the backyard, and I wanted to make her apple cider vinegar with my own hands, and she said no, fuck Apple, and so I said okay, fine, I won't. Anyway, the point is that never happened. The point is my wife hates Apple.
Uh-huh.
Like, she will not let me wear black turtlenecks. Like, she just hates Apple.
Okay, so she hates Apple.
And then one day, the other day, she just said to me, honey. Honey, sweetie, baby.
You're so fucked.
And I was like, no, we're not buying anything pumpkin spice. Because we have to talk about pumpkin spice.
This is a code kind of board.
And so she's like, hey, I want you to know I did a bunch of research and I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to get back.
that.
No, she did. She literally said, we're sitting next to each other. We work 3 feet apart from each other. God bless her because I talk loudly. Oh, no! But anyway, the point is, my wife hates when I talk loud. She's like, we have neighbors. Yeah, and, it is what it is. Anyway, the point is, what do you think they're going to say when we have a hot tub out there? The point is...
Just so you can go to Pound Town.
Exactly right. We're not swingers. The point is, so she says to me one day, focus, she says, okay, I've done some research and I'm willing to get an iPhone. Because all I've been doing is, lengthening my member to this iPhone 13. Like, I have been fired up, ready to go with the iPhone 13.
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, I did a bunch of research, and it turns out I can use my Amazon Music and on the iPhone, and Apple actually has an app and a program to convert you from Android to Apple. And what they do is they hook an electrode up to your mind, and they brainwash you so that you like Apple again.
Infowars.com.
So She's done all this research. Like, my wife made an effort because she knows that I'm an Apple guy. And I've been really excited about this.
Right.
And she owes me because, like, I found wine I like to drink. You know, we've gone on long walks and had deep conversations and
The
stuff.
ink isn't dry yet.
You know, I smoke crack because I don't drink wine. And I'm trying to like wine, but I haven't started liking wine yet. And we can't get our Maui wine because we live in Utah now. So what's really the point? The point is she's going to get the iPhone. So yesterday the Apple event happens, and I'm just all about it. Like, I stopped working. I watched part of the Apple event, like the iPhone, the iPad that I'm not going to buy, the Apple Watch 7, which, by the way, did you guys hear this? I'm so upset about this. The Apple Watch 7 is not available because there is a component shortage and they can't produce them. Their target date is November. Bummer. But the iPhone 13 will be in my hands on the 24th of September.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be awesome.
So she's in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm excited.
This seems like something straight out of the Donnie book, right? Like, I can't believe that this is real right now.
I'm worried she's going to murder me in my sleep. Like, I think she's just like been like, oh, honey, I'm going to get the iPhone. Honey, I'm going to get that, or she wants to, like, she wants to go buy a new car or something. That's a joke. Yeah. That, or she wants a $7,000 tech for the hot tub.
You see, I'm a guy of simple taste.
But I'm worried that she's the honey, and then she's going to plunge like a steak knife into my chest and kill me and sell the iPhone to pay for my funeral.
Hey, look here, man.
But I mean, to me, this is amazing because now we can iMessage.
Well, so hold on, you're
FaceTime.
skipping the whole thing. So now we're an Apple family again, and we all have iPhone. Well, we're all gonna have iPhone 13 Pro Max,
gold,
1 terabyte,
gold
iPhone.
They're gold.
It's pretty fire.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's fire.
And you're an idiot because you're on Verizon, but Mrs. Monty.
Maybe if
Mrs.
AT&T hadn't screwed me, I wouldn't. I'd still be a customer of theirs.
True. But they did. And you liked it. Anyway, the point is that we're all going to be on iPhone again.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited. So I got the Pro Max, 1 terabyte, gold. Mrs. Monty got the same thing.
I even got the AirPods.
Yeah, so did
and the
Mrs.
charger.
Monty. So did Mrs. Monty. And I'm excited about that. And I'm stoked. And the reason that this was so easy is because, well, as a baller, I have a Goldman Sachs Apple card, which is the only reason.
Yeah, why don't you use that to pay for the $7,000 deck then?
I could. But the point is, we bought it on the Apple card.
Yeah.
So they give you 0% for essentially 2 years. And I'm a big believer in, hey, if you're going to give me 0% financing, I'm going to buy from you. Because I don't use my bank account pretty much for anything.
Right.
I use my, I'm an Amex customer. I'm an Amex Platinum customer, because I'm a baller.
Right.
And I have my Apple card.
Right.
And so those, I use my Amex card for everything. I cannot tell you the last time I used my ATM card, my debit card.
I don't even carry it.
I have no idea the last time I used it.
Yeah.
So my point being, Apple makes it super easy. The Apple Store app on your iPhone, you can go in there, you can buy it, and it basically puts you in a position where this Friday, the 17th, you're just going to it'll remind you at 5 a.m. Pacific, 6 Mountain, you'll just hit complete order, and it's done. And then on the 24th, they have a dude in a suit who walks up, blinds you with a light, and he's wearing glasses, and he holds out a thing, and he blinds your eyes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to go John Wick on it for a second.
No, this is a Men in Black reference.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, they show up, they brainwash my wife, honey, so that she will give up her Android. So let's get in the comments. Are you team Android or are you team dark side Apple? Because I'm team Apple all the way. I mean, you can see here in the shot, I've got 2 MacBooks to do the show, an iPad.
This is insane right now. I mean, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Apple devices right here in this one shot.
9, because my AirPod Pros are sitting right there. I mean, I'm an Apple guy all the way. And I just, in all seriousness, I mean this seriously. It's a huge sacrifice for my wife to get an iPhone. Like, she hates iPhones. She hates Apple. So, and she's sitting right here in front of me, like 10 feet in front of me. I really appreciate that she's doing that because it allows us to do the Find My Friend thing,
FaceTime.
the FaceTime thing, the iMessage thing, the AirDrop thing. Like, we were
and by the way, it's not like it's a POS phone. I just like to point that out,
it's a fucking
dude.
rocket
It's
ship.
like one of the best phones
Are
on
you
the
kidding?
market.
Yes, it's a rocket ship.
I'm just saying.
Rocket ship. Tanner says Team Apple. Daryl Adams says I hate Apple, and he said IH8 Apple. I hate like the license plate.
Okay, right.
We got to update your license plate here in a minute.
Yeah.
Ayush Kanugo says Team Apple. Jeremy Bolton says Team. Oh, Jeremy. Team Android.
Mr. fucking vaccination genius scientific expert, you fucking asshole.
Sorry, Jeremy. That was probably too much. That's my bad. That's my bad.
I love that drop. Rappaport's amazing. Daryl Adams says, because I'm cool. Greg Hawkins says, Apple, you're in TV.
Let's
you
go,
need Apple.
Greg.
Of
Let's
course.
go, baby.
Greg's now our favorite listener.
Yeah.
Since Grocock no longer shows up here.
Grocock gets on Xbox and all of a sudden thinks he can disappear off the show.
Oh, how do I block people? Jackson Graham says Android is better. Sorry,
You
not
are
sorry.
fake.
Yeah, you're fake news, pal. Let me just tell you right now. Well, I can play Minecraft on my Android. Anyway. Android for sure. The wife is Apple. We have arguments about it. See? So do I.
Blue text message or green text message? What's it going to be?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Is what it is.
But yeah, I'm excited about it, dude. I'm excited about it.
Me too. What's going on with your license plate?
Yeah, so, I get my car registered like 3 months ago, and I'm like, all right, great, got vanity plates, everything's awesome.
My license plate is flu game.
Yeah.
FLUGAME.
So,
deal with it.
I'm like, all right, cool. So these are going to get delivered in a couple of weeks. Everything's cool. Yeah, it's been like 3 months. I'm sitting here waiting. Finally call them. And they're like, yeah, we delivered it to Sandy, your old address.
Our address from 7 years ago?
That isn't even in the system anymore for some reason. Can you give us your new address? Even though the whole thing here is when I registered the car, I did my driver's license, I did my car, like everything's at the right address, and they still sent it to Sandy. So it's so annoying. It's got to be one of the biggest wastes of time I've ever seen.
So my wife ordered vanity plates, got here in like 3 weeks. I ordered vanity plates, they got here in like 10 days. You ordered vanity plates, and they're like a year away.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude.
You have terrible luck with this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you send shit to the wrong address regularly. Your car parts with 305, who, here's a shocker, Jake couldn't close that either.
Well, hey, I didn't want to die from COVID. What do you want?
Okay. Well, it's your fault because I was protecting you.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
I get it. Yeah, you hate that I use that, but it's a fact of life.
That's true. It's a fact of life.
It is.
Fat ass.
It is.
If you weren't obese, you wouldn't be such a high risk.
Spinal.
But anyway, my point is you just have terrible luck with that stuff.
Yeah.
Terrible luck.
I don't even know how you explain it.
Okay, real quick, one political story, because then we got to go.
Oh, boy.
So Gavin Newsom keeps his seat as California governor.
Fire and fury.
Larry Elder, the radio show host.
Larry.
No radio show host should ever be in government.
Right.
Larry Elder runs against Gavin Newsom in California for the governorship to recall him.
Mm-hmm.
So Larry Elder, apparently, and I say apparently because I would just surmise that Larry Elder didn't think he was going to win this election, because it came out the other day that weeks ago Larry Elder bought and built a website announcing he lost the election. And on the website, it was all about how the election was fraudulent and stolen, and the only reason he lost is because people voted illegally, massive voter fraud, election was stolen. Donate now. Let's make sure that we save California. So Larry Elder took the Donald Trump playbook and brought it to California.
Yes.
I don't want to get into that election specifically. I would remind you that Gavin Newsom won in a landslide. He kicked the crap out of Larry Elder. Are we ever going to have an election that's not like, oh, I only lost because it was stolen? Are we ever going to have an election that is just votes are counted and people accept the result?
Professionalism. The professionalism is no longer in politics, and that's why this stuff happens. Nobody can just say, hey, man, great. It was awesome running against you. Like, great job. We don't do that anymore in this country. And I think it's unfortunate, man. Like, I miss the days of politicians actually having respect for each other. And, it's like,
Seriously.
Like it shouldn't be this thing where, our politicians are like tearing each other down or somehow saying it's illegitimate. And the funniest part about it is these guys are public officials who are voted into office, and so by questioning the election, not only are you questioning the candidate, but you're questioning the people that you're trying to represent. That doesn't seem like a good strategy.
But here's my thing. Larry Elder had this website up weeks before the election.
He knew he wasn't going to win.
And already said before a ballot was cast, oh, yeah, it's the votes. I have found fraud in the election. And I'm just asking, like, at what point do we stop doing this? Like, everybody is so, Donald Trump, August 13th, he's back in office. That didn't happen either. The QAnon shaman, oh, what a god. And then he, renounces QAnon and says that he has mental illness. And that's why he wore a sheep's head with horns and sat in the speaker's seat. And you have Donald Trump, who is broke, taking donations to stop the steal, to pay off his debts. Oh, he's running in 2024. He's broke. He's so broke that Donald Trump is doing boxing announcing. Do you guys understand that if you're somebody that's still on the Stop the Steal bandwagon, my pillow, hey, dude, you got.
Yeah.
You got. So people have been disbarred. Billion-dollar lawsuits. Rudy Giuliani's legacy is forever ruined.
Mm-hmm.
It's been catastrophic. Not any evidence that there was voter fraud anywhere ever.
Yeah.
And now we have this guy in California, Larry Elder, saying that he has proof of voter fraud before any votes were ever cast.
Right.
At what point do we move on in this country? How do we get past this? I don't know how to get past this.
Yeah, I don't think there's any getting past it other than to let time physically pass. That's what will heal this.
Oh, Giggity has a really important question for you.
Okay.
Can Jake get the plate TXTBRKUP text breakup?
Man, that would be so fire, dude. I honestly did not think of that. That's a great play.
Brylark says, we get it, Monty. You're a Chicago fan. Flu game.
Yep.
Exactly. Jeremy Bolton says, yup. Jeremy says, I'm team vaccination, scientific Android expert. Stop. Stop it.
See, he gets it. That's funny.
Daryl Adams says, California's a toilet. Actually, California's awesome. Other than the taxes, the cost of living, gas.
You can't afford to live there, but it's awesome.
Regulations, Anybody that tells you that, hey, here is a beach house in Huntington Beach, you can have it. You're going to turn that down? No, you're not, because it's a great place to live. It for beach, food, hose, you name it.
Hose.
The car scene, best cars and coffee in the world.
You got to fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
You got your selection, so any three you want. My point is, it's unlivable right now because of the cost of living and the regulations. And California's not a toilet. It is. I would live there if I could afford it.
Yeah.
If it was at all tenable. Bradlock says, I remember the days where the biggest scandal was Obama wearing a tan suit and smoking weed in his youth. Seriously. But this is, what did you say to me last night? Donald Trump changed things.
Forever.
This all started with, I need to see a birth certificate. That black man's birth certificate from Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's where this all started.
Yeah.
And there's never been proof that the birth certificate.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
Birth certificate thing was a joke from the beginning. Stop the Steal's been a joke from the beginning.
Yep.
QAnon's a joke from the beginning. Yet here we are having the same discussion in a recall election in California because this guy knew that hey, they're sheep and they'll follow me right down the fucking, hey, it's Stop the Steal road.
And then there's this whole thing where in Republican states people are dying left and right from COVID. So, in case you need any more negativity in your life.
Did you hear about this guy again yesterday? Another radio host dies yesterday who went out of his way to tell he had anti-vax rallies to tell people not to get vaccinated, don't wear a mask. And like the whole premise of his life was the vaccines are poison, don't do it. His wife released an impassioned plea yesterday after his death saying, please get vaccinated. This is not a joke. And then, by the way, speaking of that election, why was Gavin Newsom being recalled? This oppression, you cannot tell me to wear a mask, you son of a bitch. And so what did they do? Like, you went to the poll, you came out of the poll. Hey, what did you think of Gavin Newsom's handling of COVID-19 in the state of California? 65% were like, yeah, we agree with it. He did a pretty good job. We want him to stay governor. Fuck you, Larry Elder. Like, that's what they said.
Yeah.
Understand that Larry Elder didn't lose the election. He never was even close. He wasn't even, it wasn't a contest. He got destroyed in this election. I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, I feel better.
Good talk.
Yeah. Mind Axiom says social media started all of this.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. Yes.
100% agree.
Tanner Plummer says, Jake, you need a wow all the networks Rudy Giuliani drop. Yeah, you probably do.
Mm-hmm.
Trump will go down as one of the most influential people in American history, and not in a good way. He is. He absolutely
that's
has.
True. That's true.
He has changed the way we live our lives in this country.
Yeah.
From COVID vaccines to elections to the political system.
Yep.
Completely changed
Yes.
it. Pocahontas, calling other people vile, disgusting names, vilifying women, anti-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind how many, by the way, just so you know where we are, Donald Trump, oh, you cannot have abortions unless you're Donald Trump and you've had multiple abortions because you've had kids out of wedlock and you didn't want to have them.
Good
so
job,
you
bud.
paid for abortions. But that's where we are in this country. Hey, don't you tell me what to do with my body. I'm not getting this vaccine. But if you're a woman and you were raped by your dad and you're pregnant, yeah, we're not going to let you get an abortion. That's
And
where
by
we
the
are
way,
in this country.
I got the vaccine before I left office, but I don't want anyone to know that.
Well, under cover of darkness.
Obviously.
Duh. Anyway, all right, we have to go. Play
Yeah,
the music.
all right.
We've probably pissed enough people. So we've crushed Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz suck.
Utah sucks.
The Pac-12's a joke. Utah sucks. Witt's not a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use an Android phone, you're a
Android sucks.
Jake called everybody that's an Android user a douche. Never mind that you get $750 for an iPhone trade-in and you get $235 for a Note 10. Just saying. Stop the steal. All right.
Trolling level 1 million.
Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Donnie.
Goodbye, Donnie.